This conference will now be recorded.
Yep, I hope everyone able to see my screen. You can just give a thumbs up if you're able to see my screen. Okay, cool. Yep. So myself, Sai. So I'll be instructor for this course, for this AWS and DevOps course. So yeah, I my experience is completely like I have been in this industry. It's been around 5 years ago. It's been 5 years. So yeah, my experience is completely on DevOps and AWS. So and also like Google Cloud. So I've been working in this industry for multi-cloud architecture. So I'm working as a AWS, AWS. I'll be taking care of AWS deployment and the DevOps processes, and I worked in some GCP services kind of infrastructure building and deploying the application on some serverless platforms. So in this course, we are mainly focusing on DevOps and AWS. So there you will I think after this demo you will get the course curriculum with all the details. What are we going to discuss in this sessions in this course during the duration will be mostly 45 sessions to 50 sessions. So I'm not talking about the days, I'm just talking about the session. So duration for this course, maybe it may take till 45 sessions to 50. So including the project. So we will be giving you some real-time source code scenarios, source codes, and also projects. And I'll be explaining you about the CI/CD pipelines and the configuration management tools and Terraform. By using Terraform, you can just how you can launch the resources and how you can automate the infrastructure. So yeah, we'll be sharing all the details. I think the course curriculum you will get right after this session, so you can be in touch with careerbridge, the contact POCs. So yeah, anyone is having any experience, IT experience in development part or ops, or anyone is working on AWS but they're not familiar with DevOps, is anyone is like that?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. So I'm just assuming everyone is a fresher for this course, so we'll be not digging into the technologies now. So we'll be not digging into the much technical stuff right now. So we'll just try to understand the basic concepts of application cycle and just discuss about why DevOps comes to the picture and what type of uh, problems it is solving, and how the market is growing by adapting those DevOps techniques. So, and also like how the market is moving from the traditional approach to the automation. So, we'll discuss this kind of the processes in this session. So, I don't want to just dig into the technologies and just say about the Git and Ansible or Jenkins or Kubernetes or Docker, so whatever. So we'll not discussing much about the technologies now, but in the session, so we'll try to understand the process. So anyhow, like we'll be discussing everything in detail. So even from Linux to tell this AWS CI/CD pipelines or AWS architectures and all the tools which we are going to discuss in this session. So when we are talking about the course, like the content of the course, then we'll discuss everything in detail. But for this session, I'm just trying to like focus on all the audience. So they need to just understand the the terminology or the process. So the basic application lifecycle process and everything. So yeah, if we take any of the application, it's not only DevOps is not only for the specific application, so you can implement it in any of your application. So it's not related to some you don't need to relate it to relate to or stick to some specific process to deploy or develop this kind of application with DevOps. So it's not like that. DevOps is a culture. So everyone thinks like it's a uh, combination of tools, but it's not about the tools. It's about the culture. So the culture, that culture is resolving so many issues in the current industry. So it is resolving the manual. It is completely erasing all the manual process, and it is completely moving to the automation techniques. So that's why I'm just calling this as a DevOps is a culture. So the terminology DevOps. So it's just nothing but. So if you know, I'm just saying it's the development plus operations. Okay. So it's a development plus operation. So if we combine these two people together, then it will become a DevOps culture. So why we needs to combine these people together, and what are the current challenges? What are the challenges before the DevOps culture was evolved? So let's start with that thing. So I just wanted to talk about some application lifecycle process. So application lifecycle processes. So that is SDLC. So if anyone don't know about the SDLC, it's a software development lifecycle. So in the software development lifecycle, there are some phases. So if you take any of your application, so you are trying to build an application. So let's say you're trying to build some e-commerce application. So when I say e-commerce, so Amazon, Flipkart, these are e-commerce application. So online shopping is mostly related to online shopping. So I want to develop an e-commerce application. So something like Amazon. So it's already there. You want to try, you can try other. So I just wanted to use this application to demo in this demonstration. So if you are trying to build some e-commerce application, so every application, so there will be some process which we needs to follow. That's application lifecycle we needs to follow. That is your SDLC process, software development life cycle. So in this process give you to plan your code. So first the analysis, and the second one will be the design, and third one will be the coding, and fourth one will be the deploy testing, and the fifth one will be the deployment, and the seventh one will be the maintenance. So maintenance is nothing but like you need to handle your application, right? So these are the life cycle. So let me just say this is the analysis part. Okay, and this should be your designing part. So this should be your coding part, and this should be your testing part. And yeah, deployment part and maintenance. So maintenance is nothing but the monitoring. Like you need someone to look into your application, right? So whether it is working as expected or is it down, or any users are not able to access your application. So you need to like continuously monitor your application. So once your application was in live, so these are the steps. These are the phases which we need to follow to develop an application. So here Amazon. So this is an e-commerce application. So this is the process which we need to follow to like develop an application. So in this process, so everything will be done like in analysis part. So when I say analysis part, so in this analysis, they will just gather all the requirements, and they will try to analyze everything, like how many days it will take, how much human resources which we needs to complete this work, and everything will be done in this analysis part. So in designing, so you will be taking care of the architecture of your application. So when I say architecture, so it's all about the functionality, like how it is going to work. So when you click on login, so whether it is redirecting to the correct URL, all this functionality related things will be discussed in your designing part, and how your application needs to be, the UI looks like. So the user interface, when I say UI, it's a user interface. So when you open Facebook, so you'll be seeing that user interface to enter your login credentials. Like the same way, how we need to design that UI interfaces, everything which is related to the designing part for your application, that will be discussed in your designing stage. And the coding stage, this is the main stage. So from here, everything related to your application start build the building of your application will be start with your coding stage. So everything should be in the coding. So without coding we cannot like there will be some static website, you can see, you can say like I'm able to like create a sample web application without doing any coding, but in the backend also that will be running on the code. So if you're not able to see the code, but it's not like you're there is no coding which is evolved in that process. But everything, like if you're trying to download something for your s- Windows, for example Skype or anything, so you will be see some .exe files. You can click on that file and it will download that file into your computers, right? So when you extract that file, there will be some process which is running. So that process will be like which all the coding will be packed into some executable format. So that format is given to you. So it just runs all the process in the background, and it's just runs your application on your desktop. So everything will be related to the coding. So without coding there will be no applications. So the coding part will be the important part. So I'm just saying this coding is under development phase. So because developers will take care of the coding. So whether they are trying to like develop the code on Java, .NET, Python, HTML, it depends on the application, and it depends on like how the way they are following. Like it depends on how much resources they are familiar with. If they have more Java developers, if the functionality can be achieved, the requirement can be achieved with Java source code, so they can simply go ahead with Java. So it depends, mainly it depends on the application or the type of your application. So if they are planning to go with Java, so mainly this coding part will be taken care by Java developers. Guys, 1 minute. So yeah, so this coding part will be taken care by your developers. So once this coding is done, then it will be moved to this testing stage. So testers will test this application, and then deployment stage, and it will move to the live. So then it will move to the maintenance. Like we need to continuously monitoring this maintenance application. So for example, I'm treating this as a 1.0. So Amazon, so here we are just released 1.0 version, and in this version we have like enabled everything, but we don't have any concepts like internet banking or something is not added in this first version, because we just started deploying this application, developing this application. So we have released Amazon 1.0. It have only the basic features, it doesn't have all the features like which we are thinking about now. So it have only some cart and some cash and delivery options, but we are not integrated with this net banking or this kind of version. So the plan is to release 2.0 version. In this 2.0, I just wanted to like include this online banking or net banking or credit card, all the statement. And in 3.0 version, I just wanted to add one more thing, that will be your something kind of Amazon Pay or something. So I just want to include that in 3.0 version. So if you're following this approach, so everything will be done manually. So once this 1.0 version is released, then you need to like start working on 2.0 version, and then you need to start working on 3.0 version, and then you need to like deploy the application the same way which we are trying to follow here. But if we are trying to follow this traditional approach, this may take a lot of effort, and this may take a lot of time involving in this, like releasing the application. So before DevOps, there will be no communication between your development team and your operations team. So when I say development team, so they just write the code, they develop the code. When I say operations team, so they'll be taking care of deploying your applications to the environment. So there will be multiple environments. So there'll be dev environment, test environment, and UAT environments, something like user acceptance environments, and the production environment. So this ops team will be taking care of your deployment part, like I'm not talking about development part. Of teams will be taking care of your deployment part. So please don't confuse between this development and deployment. So ops team will be taking care of your like deployment. It's nothing but initializing or installing your application dependencies on the servers. So which they want to like, it depends on the environment. So they will try to install your application, and then they will try to like expose your applications to the internet. Then only you will be able to access your application, right? So if you don't expose your applications to the internet, so then we won't be able to access any of your applications. So that's why, so ops team will be taking care of your deployment like related stuff. So they will be like installing packages, installing dependencies, configure your application and everything. So in development environment, like everything works as expected. So developer test their code in their local computers, and they will see no issues in development phase. And when the application moves to the operations, like moving to the production stage, so there will be some dependency issues, or there will be the application is not working as expected in another environment. So this kind of issues will be raised between the development team and operations team. So everything will works in their laptop, but everything will not work in the operations, like in production environment as expected, because it's due to the dependencies which they have in their computer, and which they have in the production environment. So when they are moving to the production environment, there should be a lot of dependencies which will be involved, because the application is going on live, so all the functionality should work. But in the developer laptop, only the source code which he has written, so that will be tested, but entire application end-to-end flow will not be tested in the developer laptop, right? So that's the communication gap which was there in this traditional approach. So they're trying to release this 1.0 application. So this application may work, it may not work. Like they may see some bugs in this application. If they may not see any bugs in the application, then that will be moved to the deployment part, and that will be like go live. So every user can be able to access the application. What they see some issues while deploying the application into the production environment, again that box needs to be tested in testing phase. And again you need to report the developer who worked on this 1.0, and he need to like again push the bug fixes to the application, and it should go through the coding phase until testing phase again. So this is a manual, completely a manual traditional approach. So but these developers are working on 2.0 application, so they're in the middle of deploying developing the code for the 2.0 application. But when operations teams deploy this application to the production environments, there is nothing working as expected, or there are some client concerns from the client, the work is the expectations are not raised, not met. So again, they need to the developers needs to look into this 1.0 application, and they need to start working on the bug fixes and everything. But this work should be hold for some time, because everyone is occupied with 1.0. So here we can see this is a traditional and a completely a manual process. Okay, and this is the traditional approach. And here there will be no DevOps culture is involved in it. So if the DevOps culture is involved in it, then obviously the main purpose of DevOps culture is the automation thing. So if you don't see any automation techniques here, then it's not a DevOps culture. So everything is going in a manual way. So that's why, to resolve these kind of issues, so you can see the application is released as 1.0, and this is going to the testing stage, and the deployment stage or in the testing stage. So they'll be seeing some issues, and they'll needs to report back to the developers, and they needs to hold the work which they are working on 2.0 application, and they needs to work on this 1.0 bug fixes again, and they need to push that code to the source code repositories, and that needs to be tested. So this process will will delay your application. So it may delay the timelines of your client, so client will not get satisfied with the work which you have done, or he may not be able to proceed. There will be a lot of challenges if we talk about those kind of scenarios. So once the DevOps comes into the picture, so let me just show you the automation text thing. uh, so let me not save. Okay, can we cancel it? Yeah. In this DevOps culture, so we will be like established. The main purpose is to the communication between the development team and operations team that can be achieved for the that's the main purpose of this DevOps culture. And if you see, every life cycle will be divided to a phase in DevOps. So, for example, I was talking about the coding. So, if you are going with the coding part, so everything will be integrated in DevOps. So, let's say about the each and every phase now. So this is the coding part, and here is the build part. Okay, and here is the testing part. Here is the deployment part, and yeah, release everything, release the application, and monitoring or maintaining your application. So there will be a lot of tools involved in this DevOps techniques in this automation world. So for coding, so every developer needs to have some source code repositories that needs to be accessible for everyone. So it's just not only one or two guys are working on the source code. There will be multiple developers who is working on this source code. So it will be not a good practice to store all the source code in your personal laptop. So there will be some there will be some technique to push or pull your source code to the repositories for the backup purpose, or if anyone wants to review your code, and if anyone wants to add something to your code. So there should be some software which we can help us to achieve this kind of challenges. So that will be your GitHub. And Git is a software. So it's a source code tool, or you can say version control tool as well. So that will be help the developers to establish it just enables the communication. So if any developer is working on some particular 1.0 in some stage, like in 1.0 we have released something called cash and delivery or cart option. If anyone is working on cart, so someone is working on cash and delivery enabling that option. So everyone needs to push their source code to some place, and there should be some secured way, and there should be a way that can everyone can able to communicate with that source code frequently. So that's where we are using the GitHub here. So GitHub is the repository. So there you can it's a central repository. There you can push and pull your source code, and you can store it in your GitHub repositories. So that will be accessible from the internet. So you can say that that is also a backup solution for your source code. So in the build stage, so why we needs to go to the build stage here? So if you are going with coding, so if you cannot directly deploy that exactly the source code to the servers, right? So if you're like installing Skype in your laptop, so there will be some .exe file, but you will not see the source code which was written for this Skype. So the same way, you cannot directly deploy your source code into your servers. So you need some build tool that will be that will be convert your application and to a computer readable or computer understandable language. So whatever the source code which we have written in Java, so that's the human readable language. But when you deploying or when you're deploying on the server, that should like change it to the computer binaries language. So that's why you need to extract, or you need to package, or you need to like package your application or build your application to a executable format. That should be your .exe format, or mainly if you are trying to use Maven application, Maven as a build tool in our course. So in Maven we will be just showing you some .jar files. It will package your application, and it will convert that application into the jar and var files. So jar files are nothing but the Java related source code. If your source code is related to Java, so then it will generate some jar files. That var is something related to the web application. So we'll discuss in detail about that code. So that's the purpose of using the build tools here. So you need some mechanism to convert your source code into a executable format. So in a simple word. And then the testing stage, so in testing stage we will automate the Selenium testing in our pipelines, in our automation, in our designing, so DevOps culture. So that will test your application, and it will give the reports to the developers. So this is the issues, these are the bugs which are there in the development, your application source code, and everything will be reported in your testing phase. And the deployment stage, that will be on your servers. So whether those are production servers or whatever the servers, so whatever the environment which you are trying to deployment. And the release, so when you say release, the application is going live, so it will be accessible to the users. So and the maintenance, the obviously monitoring and maintenance part will be taken care by your dev. So here also I just talked about the phases, so in the DevOps lifecycle, but I have not talked about the integration here. So the integration will be taken care by your Jenkins tool. So we will integrate all these phases from the coding till the release monitoring. In some scenarios, from the coding till the deployment stage. In some scenarios, from the coding till the testing phase. This will called as a CI/CD. So CI/CD is continuous integration. So this will test your application till testing. So it's nothing but you are deploying everything till production environment. CD is nothing but continuous delivery. So continuous delivery will be taking care of your deployments, but it's not really on the production. So continuous deployment, it will go till the production. So these are the three phases. So everyone will talk about continuous integration and continuous deployment, but there is a concept called continuous delivery. So that delivery which will not be integrated till the production. So it's like a non-production environment. So a application should pass this like it should pass these life cycles. One is the development environment, and one is the testing environment, and one is the UAT environment, and one is the production environment. Okay, so these are the this is the dev environment, and this is the testing environment, and this is the UAT environment, user acceptance test, and this is the production environment. Every application should pass this life cycle, these phases. So you cannot directly develop the source code and deploy into your production environment. That way your application will not work as expected, or you may see some issues, you may see some downtime of your application. So everything will be happen if you directly deploy to your production environment. That's why your source code needs to follow this all the environments, and it should pass all the environments. UAT environment is nothing but it's a user acceptance test environment. Their client will be check whether your application is developed, whether the functionality is working as expected or not. So in this UAT environment, end users or your client will test your application, and then only he will approve you to move to the production. So if he see any issues in UAT environment, then it will not move to the production environment. So every application should follow these phases. Okay, so in each phase, like we are talking about the phases, so we talked about the phases which we have in the DevOps lifecycle. So these are the environments, we can say. So these are the different environments: dev environment, testing environment, UAT environment, production environment. So these are the phases. So every application should pass in the development environment, testing environment, UAT environment. So to do this, so everything should be automated. So as I told you, we'll be integrating your source code with Jenkins. So whenever you commit something to your source code, then this process will be triggered and it will deploy your application till UAT. Okay, if everything is working in UAT, then it will be moved to your production environment. So that's the good approach, the basic standards for developing an application. So if you're working on 1.0, so let's take the same example 1.0. So we are using DevOps approach here. So 1.0 application. So whenever a developer push their source code to the coding repositories, so this will trigger your trigger your pipelines, and this will deploy your application till the testing phase, and everything will be tested accurately and frequently, and in a fast approach. So you don't need to wait till everything coding is done for 1.0, and then you don't need to go to the testing phase. In this testing phase, you will see some issues, and then you don't need to go back to the developer and say stop working on 2.0, there are some issues, and 1.0 there are some bugs and everything. So to avoid these kind of issues, so we are frequently moving our source code to the all the environments. So everything will be tested by using this CI/CD techniques on the daily basis. It's not just like you need to completely move to the testing phase and you need to test your application before you are moving to the production. So this DevOps culture will follow on the daily basis or more frequently, I can say. So in our real time projects which I'm working on, so every 3 to 4 hours we will trigger the deployments, and every developer will test their source codes, and whatever the functionality which we have developed by using their source code, they will test that source code in the environments like dev environment, test environment. So everything should be integrated, and everything should be followed by the CI/CD techniques. So when a push of your source code, when a when something has pushed to your source code, so then it will trigger your pipelines, and that will be deployed to your environments. So if someone is working on 2.0, like the same way, everything will be tested from end to end, and everything will be like starting from your basic source code to till the testing phase, everything will be there in your CI/CD pipeline. So even though till UAT also you can move with the CI/CD approach. So in this approach, like everything is integrated, everything you can test it right away, so everything can be reported back to the developers, so there will be no delay in your communication between your development team and operations team. So there are some tools which are evolved in this life cycle. So if you are talking about the coding, so we will be talking about the Git and the GitHub. So we will take care of coding part, source control. So that will be your Git and GitHub. When we're talking about build, so we will be mainly focusing on Maven. So 70% of the Maven, 74% of the market will be using Maven as a build tool. So it's a user friendly tool. That's why everyone is like preferred to use this Maven tool. So we will be discussing about the Maven for the build purpose, and for the testing purpose it's not comes on in our way. So everything will be depends on the testers, so Selenium testing and everything. But we can try to just include a test phase in our application to like just demonstrate, but we will not exactly executing the test phases in our application. So that will be integrated with Selenium, so testers will take care of that work, so it's not our DevOps engineer work. And the deployment, like we will be using multiple tools, some configuration management tools here. So you can you can just integrate your servers with configuration management tool. So we'll be mainly focusing on Ansible. So and the release and monitoring purpose, so for the monitoring will be depends on some cloud services. It's like AWS cloud watch, this kind of monitoring resources which we have. So these are the tools like to like convert this application from monolithic to microservices. I think some of the terminology, monolithic or microservices, that will be new for you, but we'll discuss when we discuss about the Docker. So Docker is a microservices tool, so which you can like segregate your or partition your application into the multiple parts. So there are some advantages with microservices. I think this is not the right time to discuss about that. And there is some orchestration tools which is Kubernetes, so that will be taking care of all your microservices. So we will be discussing Kubernetes as an orchestration purpose, and the Terraform for the infrastructure as a service purpose. So why we need these tools? So every tool has their own way of automating your work, so that's the reason. So we are just approaching with this all the tools, so we can discuss about the tell source code to tell the deployment phases. So every tool, whatever the tool which are coming in the phases, each and every phase we will be discussing all the phases and all the tools which are involving to do that work. And also like the cloud part. So the cloud part, I think we'll discuss like in detail. It may take little more time to explain you about the basic or like basic traditional approach of deploying or maintaining the infrastructure in a company to moving to the cloud services. So there will be so many factors are involved in this. If you're trying to, if you're not trying to use a cloud, okay, cloud service, so a company needs to buy some servers and they needs to maintain the servers 24 by 7. You may see, still you may see some server rooms in a companies. So they'll be maintaining the servers, and you need to give the power supply and temperature, so everything needs to be monitored, and there will be 24 by 7 power supply, and it isn't an expensive way of maintaining all your infrastructure in your company. So we can call that as an on premises. So when you move to the cloud, so cloud will give you the resources, so you don't need to manage the servers, you don't need to worry about the hardware and hardware components, the type of OS which we are going to maintain, everything will be taking care of your cloud platform. So we can discuss about the public cloud providers. The trending cloud provider is the AWS. In AWS also we'll discuss some most of the resources, something like computing, storage, and database services, some high availability architectures, and some scalable architectures and everything. So let me pause here. I think I'm talking since about 30 minutes. So yeah, let me pause here for the questions, and please go ahead if you have any questions or you have any if you already gone through some of the videos or anything, you are still seeing some, you don't understand something, or you have gone through some DevOps basic course, like demo sessions, or you already seen some tools like Git, what is Git and everything. So if you have any doubts, please go ahead now. I'll I'll be like here for the Q&A. So no doubts. If you have any doubts, you can just send a chat or okay. So looks like we are good. Yeah, I think yeah, we make like if any questions we can wait in the call. If not, I think we can drop off now. Like if you like you want me to like cover any tools, or I think you haven't received the course curriculum from our side, right? So once you got the core curriculum, or you want some issue or with the course curriculum or the tools which we have mentioned in that curriculum, so you can discuss everything there.
Hi, Sai. This is Sridhar. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I just missed the first part. So, are you going to discuss this course for 45 days?
Sorry, your voice was breaking.
Yeah, how much time it will take to complete the course? It is a 2 months course or 45 days course?
I can say 45 sessions, so this may take like 2 months, I can say.
2 months. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
2 months. But
any
it's
material,
yeah,
yeah, any material such can provide to us, or we need to take the
yeah.
notes while the class is
You
going on.
yeah. Yeah, but you exactly don't need to take any like note. If you want, like I and say you don't need to take the course, but every whatever this the sessions or whatever the topics which we discuss in our session, so that will be like given whatever the comments or everything. So the complete notes will be shared with you on a drive. So if you are discussing something on course, that will be there in your notes as well. So we will share all the documentation for that. So till
Okay.
starting of your code until the ending of your code, so everything will be there in your drive, even though they will share you the record sessions as well apart from this document.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah,
So
let me comes to the yeah, please go ahead.
yes, I so how many days this demo session?
Demo session will be for today, like if we are enough people to start or something, so we can start with the basic prerequisites. I think in this course we are just trying to start with some prerequisites which are required for a DevOps engineer. It's not like we are directly moving into the course curriculum. So there will be some prerequisites which we need to cover. So basic Linux OS, and what is Linux OS, and the basic commands of Linux and everything will be covered.
And I didn't hear today. I think what and all tools will come under this AWS DevOps.
Okay, AWS and DevOps. Yeah, I will say like a GitHub will be okay. Let me try to show you some CI/CD architecture. So there should be the tools and everything.
Like what and all tools we are going to covering, and one more thing, is this helpful to it will come under admin part or development part, Sai? Or DevOps
Mostly admin.
administration or
Uh,
development?
it's not like related to the admin, or it's not related to the developer. Anyone can move, like mostly admins. For admins it will be little easy because they will be familiar with this kind of operations which you are going in the servers and doing something with the Linux part and everything. But it will be like helpful for a developer as well. So when every developer right now in the current scenario, so every developer also needs to adapt some DevOps approaches, like the DevOps culture. Like if I talk about microservices, they need to familiar with the microservice. Not exactly completely about the DevOps, but for the developers also it will be helpful. So for the microservices part and converting all the everyone is moving to the microservices now. So that way, like everyone needs to like familiar with this microservices approach as well. So every developer or admin, anyone can adapt it.
Sure, Sai. And how many days this course? And how,
So
so
45 to
yeah,
50 working session. Yeah,
yeah.
I think
Timings?
that may timings mostly 8:30 to 9:30.
Okay. Yeah,
If
show me
you
what and all
like
tools
have
will
any,
cover under this.
yeah.
Sridhar, please mute your end. Sridhar?
Okay, let me mute.
Yeah. Yeah, Sai.
Yeah. So tools. Okay. So we can see the Git phase, the source code phase will be discussing about the Git and the GitHub. And if it comes to the build phase, so we'll be discussing about Maven. So let me show you everything here. This will be good. Yeah. In plan phase, we'll be discussing about Git and GitHub. So as I told you, like every developer needs to be familiar and needs to uh, store their source code to somewhere in the internet or for the backup purpose, to review purpose to other developers and everything. So Git and GitHub will be your source code, and build tool will be Maven. So we'll be discussing about Maven. And yeah, for the build purpose we'll be discussing about Maven, but there will be some tools you can see here. But these tools have multiple, like each stage will be having multiple tools, but it's not exactly required for a DevOps engineer to learn and Gradle or anything. If you are familiar with any of the build tool, so that will be more than enough. So Git, GitHub and Maven. And for the testing purpose, so this will be more mainly like taking care of the testing team. So Selenium automation will be comes here, but we just need to know how you need to create a build or job, Jenkins job, to automate this work. You exactly don't need to know about the Selenium and everything here. And here the CI/CD process, obviously the Jenkins is a leading tool. And if you go to the monitoring here, if you want me to like go with Nagios, we can go with Nagios. If not, we'll go with some AWS services like CloudWatch and everything. And in the deployment purpose, so we'll be going with Docker, Ansible, uh, and also here there is no orchestration tool, but Terraform, sorry, Kubernetes. And for the infrastructure management, Terraform will be our infrastructure management. These are the tools which we will be discussing
Yeah.
for the each and
Yeah.
every. Yeah.
Sure, Sai. And Kubernetes will come under deployment only.
it comes under orchestration only because we are deploying an application. So when we are deploying an application, so there will be multiple servers or there will be multiple uh, microservices that needs to taken care by someone. So that's your Kubernetes. So it comes under orchestration. It just manages everything.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, Sai. So that will also help to us, right? Actually,
Yeah, that's
Kubernetes also
the
our application, right?
yeah, correct. That is main important. Like in the current scenarios, so everyone is asking about the one of your like what we can say CI/CD. So Jenkins and mainly focusing on Docker because microservices architectures are evolving now. So everyone is moving from monolithic way to microservices. So everyone is moving to microservices. And yeah, obviously someone needs to manage your microservices. So you need Docker for the microservices and you need Kubernetes for the management orchestration. So when I say orchestration, it's just not manage, it will create the services on behalf of you. So that's the orchestration purpose. And you need someone to automate your infrastructure, the Terraform, and you should familiar with any of the cloud. So these are the main focusing the points which everyone is looking for now. So because everything is moving to microservices, so you should familiar with Docker and Kubernetes. Everything should be automated, so you should be familiar with Terraform coding. It's just for the infrastructure automation. So obviously CI/CD should be needed everywhere, and also any of your the cloud knowledge is must and should know. So these are the main topics everyone is concentrating on in the current scenarios. So we have seen so many requirements that for the only for these kind of tools, and also one more thing, Ansible for the configuration management.
Thank you, Sai.
Yeah.
Hi,
And
Sai.
after
Again,
Hello. Yeah.
so after this course, you guys can share the documents and the videos and all, right, Sai?
Yeah,
So
that yeah,
we
we'll
can
share.
access anytime, right?
You can access anytime. There will be no restriction for you can only those can be valid only be for 1 year or 2 years. I think they will share all the drive details, and also like I will like for each and every phase, like if we are completing from the testing phase, so we'll discuss a project and we'll complete whatever the tools which we are discussing. So everything will be integrated to your Jenkins. So I'll be taking care of those projects and everything. So projects and assignments that will help you to like gain some basic knowledge. If you are familiar with basic knowledge, then you will be able to like handle everything for your own. So basics are the most important things in the current like for this DevOps. So that's why I'm always saying I should start with the prerequisites of this course, that is Linux.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you, Sai. So after this course, we can get job easily, I hope.
Yeah, you should.
yeah, that's our hope too. And Sai, one more question. I mean, I'm a different background. So I'm a product
Mhm.
supporting the production support. So I
Okay.
don't have any programming knowledge now. Do we require any coding language to migrate to DevOps or
No, in fact,
any? I
like
mean,
I started my career with DevOps. Even I don't know anything about coding now,
yeah, yeah.
except YAML and some basic the understanding of HTML. But I don't have any coding skills. I'm also not expert in the coding. So you can learn. You can
Yeah,
survive also.
yeah, yeah. Basically, we used to support a .NET project, but there is no actual coding is there, and we
Hmm.
use JSON for our API testing also, but we don't have that much knowledge in that. So that's why I am asking, do we require any programming language to be learned or not?
No, no, obviously not. No coding
Yeah,
knowledge is required.
yeah. Okay, Sai, thank you so much for the confirmation. Yeah, we'll gear up for this.
Sure, sure. No problem. So, yep. Anyone else is having any questions regarding the course, the way of we approaching? So, any concerns which you want to discuss, or you want to say something? You need something in this, like you need something in a different format, like you need some projects and they or assignment on daily basis, or as so many ask like documents and videos. So videos will be taken care by the like the administration. So careerbridge will take care of that thing. So apart from the documentation part, I will take care. I'm responsible for that. You can always ask me if something goes wrong in the course, or if I don't share the document. Also, you can just remind me, or you can just say me in the next class.
Yeah,
So
and
someone
it
asks, is
seems
it
all will
possible?
be good.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. So the timing, the same timing will continue, or it will be changed like 9 to 10. Is no possibilities like that?
9 to 10, like I have office, so that's why I preferred 8:30 to 9:30. So
Okay.
yeah, so maybe yeah, some days it possible, but some days it's not. Like someone asked, is it possible to learn all of this course within 45 session? Yeah, obviously you can, because it's nothing but when I say 45 sessions, I can complete everything in 1 hour. So I will stick to 1 hour session, and then I will leave, and then they can I will just walk off from there. It's not like that. So it's some days we can spend till 2 hours. If you have any doubts, we can needs to prioritize your doubts, and then we need to discuss other topics. So I don't really concern about the time, so I can go like 30 minutes late to my office. I can manage that some days, but it's I don't stick to time. So that's not the way. I'm just approaching to the times. So I've been taking the like another batch for yours. So it's about to complete. So we are only left with few AWS topics. So it's been 2 months. Like they were asking me so many doubts. So we spent so many sessions for the doubts itself. So that depends on you. It's not depends on me. I can spend a weekend, so I can come to the institute and I can spend 2 to 3 hours to discuss about the projects or discuss about some tools. So if anyone have any concerns, so we need to speed up or we need to get up to 30 to 45 days. So if you want me to go slow, then it may extend to till 60 days. So it's completely depends on everyone. So how they are grasping and how they are reacting, and we need to consider all the aspects when we are talking about. But I'm saying 45 to 50 sessions are more than sufficient if we are going in a good way. If not, things will get delayed. It obviously it's the that's a way. Like I can say 45 is more than enough, 45 to 50. But some days we need to skip, or some days we need to discuss only doubts or projects which we are going to discuss or everything. So that day maybe we can spend that time in the weekend. So I'm not at all interested to take the classes on Sundays, so I don't want to touch my laptop on Sundays. But yeah, Saturday I can spend till 2 to 3 hours. So if everyone is okay.
Sai, you are architect, right? Or admin?
So currently, like I have worked in as a DevOps engineer for one of the project, but currently working for the solution architect for some of the POCs, AWS solution architect,
Okay. Right now, in which company, Sai, you are working?
Deloitte.
Deloitte. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, someone is saying something.
Yeah. Uh, shall I leave
Yeah,
for today,
yeah, yeah.
Sai?
Please, please, please
Tomorrow
go
we'll
ahead.
join.
Yep, sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Yep, whoever is like not having any questions, so you can please drop off. We'll hopefully we'll see you everyone tomorrow.
Yes,
So
sir.
everyone
Thank you
is
so much for
preferred
the
online.
session.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, online only. We preferred online only. Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah. So yep, who is there on the call? So any questions? Okay, so let's drop off. Thanks for your time. So we'll see you tomorrow.